Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Film Club. We're talking about 1987 film Predator. Uh Back again, John Eric. How's it going, dude?
Hi, honey. How are you?
Jesus Christ. No. Good. You just cracked me.
I was waiting all day to do that.
What do you have, a soundboard or something? Like
I
Jesus.
had it ready. Yes, I did.
Man, those were a thing. I remember using those like the Schwarzenegger soundboards back in like the
Prank calls.
yeah. Oh, those were legendary. But
But
it,
hi, I'm Israel. It's not my actual impersonation.
that's a good one if it was. Holy shit. So how are you doing, man?
I'm all right. Ready to talk about Predator.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Which, yeah, growing up, one of my favorite movies. Still one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, let's talk about maybe start with like first memories of seeing the. Obviously, we both seen this movie probably many a times now. I would imagine. Maybe let's talk about the original times we saw it. Um, for me, very first time I watched it, it was at my uncle's house, and like I said before, I used to live in a small town, so I'd kind of only be shown what I was shown, right, or what was
Mm-hmm.
available readily to me. And I went. My uncle lived down south, and he had. I still have this VHS, by the way. I don't know where he got it. I think he ripped it off of HBO or whatever movie channels they would have been back then, like the Movie Network or whatever it was on the the paid cable channels.
Pay per view or
Yeah, yeah. Somehow I ended
yeah.
up with this VHS at my house though when I was a child, and it was my go-to if I'm sick from school or quote unquote I'm sick from school, taking a day off. It was the triple feature of Schwarzenegger. It was the Terminator, Predator, and Twins, and they all, of course, when you put your VHS tapes on like the shittiest quality, you can get like 6 hours out of it. So all three of them fit on there just fine. So you can have a triple bill, and
That's amazing.
Predator. Oh, the quality was so terrible, but I remember watching it, and it almost felt like it was like a documentary. Like it was scary when you're a kid because it's the beginning is like an action movie, and then it slowly begins to shift into almost like a horror science fiction. And
Yeah, when those first the bodies of the dangling bodies are revealed, it's like holy shit.
yeah, you know things aren't going to go the way that they look like they were at the beginning with the cigar
No.
smoking and the all the Jesse Ventura, the memeing going on there.
Oh my God, Jesse Ventura, Shane Black.
And of course, oh my god, yeah, all the characters are really good in this movie. Like
Very good, very good.
Carl Weathers as well, R.I.P. Another
All right.
just recently passed away. That's really sad because he was. I didn't realize it as much when I was a kid, but rewatching it to talk about it today, his character is really good in the movie. Like they could have had him just be like the evil. Nowadays, I feel like yeah, like he's like the one who's getting them all into this shit situation. But uh, I don't know how true it is. But I was listening to the behind the scenes and commentary by the director John McTiernan, and he said something along the lines of, in the original script, Dylan, played by Carl Weathers, was supposed to be just kind of like he's got his own nefarious plot, which I mean he does kind of at the beginning of this movie, right? Like he still
Yep.
gets them into a real shitstorm of a situation, but by the end of it, he's painted and fleshed out to be more of a he is a human person, and especially the scene when they're all working together as a team. It's like, God damn, this movie's
That's what this it's so good. And that's why I love this movie so much. Is like you were saying, is it starts out as like an action, just a generic, not generic, but like an Arnold action movie, but then it just becomes after like the mission, quote unquote, is kind of over and they start getting picked off by this thing, it turns into horror where it's like these guys are like tough guy, like macho army guys, and they're afraid and they don't know what to do, and that's why I love this movie so much.
yeah. They like the you feel like they all know each other as well, which is it again
Yeah,
kind of like
seem like they all love each other and love each other.
well, maybe they say there is a line, "Strap this to your sore ass, Blaine." What is Poncho says that to him? I think and there's always that. I remember somebody saying it's a gay subtext. I'm like, I think you're reading a bit into it, or no,
Yeah, that
because
sometimes it's a bit too much, but
Mac and him like obviously knew each other, but I think that was just to emphasize that they've been on missions together before
yeah,
because they're all like decorated soldiers or at least been through it, which is kind of the cool, Arnold and Carl Weathers characters, they have a history which is nice and it fleshes it out. So when things do go south later in the film, you kind of have that moment where, all right, Dylan, that's not your style, and all of a sudden he's gonna go and you know he's actually part of the team, and I guess that's what makes it a bit more than just a straight up action or horror film. It's almost like at points, um, the action is almost like what's the right word here? It's almost like the action itself doesn't actually lead to anything. Like this, especially I want to talk about the scene where like the guns, they're all firing the guns. It's like it's
oh,
not.
at like they don't even know what they're shooting at. Yeah, yeah,
It's like it's useless. It's ineffective. But the bravado of it all. It's like you can really tell the director was making as much out of this as he could. Right? Like the studio
right.
wants guns. The studio wants explosions. The studio wants you know big boom, sweaty, jacked up dudes in the jungle fighting an alien. And by every account, that's definitely how the movie was like pitched. Right? But the
Yep.
John McTiernan said something about he wanted to make it more of like a king. He thought of it like King Kong or like a story like that, where it's like they're going into the jungle, and the further they go, the more they're going to find something more than they expected, which is an interesting idea to look at it because the guys don't really, in that scene when they're shooting all the guns and it's a big hubbub and really memorable
Yeah.
scene, shooting the minigun and doing all that stuff after one of the guys goes down. It's
Down the desert.
tearing it down and
Or
nothing
desert. I said desert, rainforest.
tearing it down, tearing down the red desert. Yeah,
So my mind's still in Dune. But
they do tear it down.
my first experience with this movie is funny enough. Is I remember it was one of the movies I wasn't allowed to see early on. And I remember being really, really, really young, being a kid in Grand Bend, and me and my siblings were, oh my god, I don't even know how old I was, but we were kids, and we were calling out in Grand Bend at my aunt's cottage. We were calling out and bugging these construction workers who were working on a house in the backyard. And it must have been me that said some like asked them about movies, like what their favorite movies were, or what kind of movies they like, blah blah blah. But long story short, they ended up lending us one of these construction guys ended up giving us Who Framed Roger Rabbit on VHS and Predator. And this
That's
came from us bugging them and just them being like laughing, just being like, okay, yeah, we'll give you these movies. But I wasn't allowed to watch Predator until a few years later when I was an older young adult. But yeah, I watched it with my dad and brother. Most likely, I don't actually remember the first time I watched this movie. It's so funny because it was one of the first DVDs I owned, so I've seen it so many times. But yeah, I can't even remember the first time I watched it. I remember my first viewing of Terminator 2, but this one I just because I've seen it, I think I've seen it so many times. I can't remember my first viewing of it.
That's fair. That's fair. It's still a
But
cool story. I mean, the
yeah,
construction workers hooked you up.
right. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Also
It's
one of my favorite movies of all time.
another great one. I feel like there's something like uniquely. I don't know what the right term here would be, but like it's like marketed as like, oh, it's for dudes. Like my uncle gave the movie to me, and you use that as a construction worker guys say here's Predator, right? But
Yeah,
I
and
think
Roger Rabbit.
that's true. There's a little bit of a yin and yang there, but like it's not like the false. I feel like everything that's like about it, like, oh, it's a false bravado, right? Because I think that's what makes the movie so brilliant now. Like rewatching it in this day and age, it'd be easy to go like, oh well, it's just a movie about a bunch of dumb guys, but that's not really the point. There is a female character, and she knows stuff, and
Yes.
when they actually will get to know her a little bit more, and she explains what's been going on and what she's seen, um,
Right.
it really emphasizes kind of, it's not just a bunch of meatheads. Although at the beginning they kind of play into some of those tropes just to kind of,
They do like the rocker. Oh my god, the locker room humor, the
yeah,
jokes,
yeah.
which are funny, and then yeah, no, I know, I see what you're saying there about that. Yeah,
It definitely adds something for me because like upon rewatching it, it almost becomes not like a spoof, but like the beginning of it, you could see that being like there's 100 other of those movies. Like I think the reason that this one stands out and is like kind of got like a legendary status now in terms of action films or science fiction is like by every account describing this movie to people. If you were to describe the movie Predator, 1987, and you go, "Hey, have you seen the movie Predator?" They go, "Which one? Predators? The Predator?
ah, it's true.
Predator?"
I
And
mean,
they,
you have to like touch on the sequels briefly, but
oh
I know
yeah,
we're talking about OG, but like yeah, but you're right. Yeah, they don't. The original is yeah, it's and like AV. Oh, you mean AVP?
and even like the ideas of those are like they're preposterous. Like the concept of the first one, even on paper, sounds ludicrous. It's a bunch of shirtless, jacked up military guys going into the jungle, and they get in trouble with a extraterrestrial life form that's far advanced. Like it sounds like stuff that the asylum puts out on a regular basis now, like those B movie $5 or $10, you know.
Yeah, the dollar bin,
Yeah,
giant.
it had no good being as good as it turned out. I just think the stars just align for this movie. Like you have great performances by everybody in it.
Well,
Like
I also love that it was written by two brothers.
yeah,
I didn't realize that until recently that and they wrote part two as well, which is why part two for the longest time I didn't watch part two, but then when I did watch it, I was like, oh, that was pretty good.
yeah, it's different,
Like it's
right?
not as good as the original, but I actually do have a fondness for part two because it takes the Predator and puts him into the city. So and Danny Glover's awesome in
That is true. Gary Busey is Gary Busey in it. He's busing it up.
it.
Cars, trucks, and Buseys only. Man,
But
he's wild in
yeah,
that movie.
I going back to the original. I just love that two brothers wrote the original movie, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It's a very simple story too, right? It's like even like Shane Black was talking about it, who would later go on to make one of the lesser Predator films. This is a nice way.
Get on. I actually have a fondness for the Predator. I actually maybe it's because I like Shane Black so much as a writer, but like I don't know. I really liked the Predator. It's like again, it's nowhere near as good as the original. I could see where the people that don't like it where they're coming from, but I don't get the hatred towards it. It's not a bad film by any means.
No, just the line. Yeah, I know a lot of people when that came out didn't. I need to rewatch it to be fair. Um,
Yeah,
but I know that was a problem with a lot of the sequels.
I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Predators.
That's the one
Predators.
with Adrian Brody, correct?
It is,
Yeah.
and Eric from that '70s show.
Oh yeah, he was like the human villain in it. He was like, "I'm gonna
Yeah,
screw them over." I
spoiler
remember
alert.
it. Spoiler alert.
Like, not spoiler alert, because when you find that out, it's just like, oh, really? He's the bad guy?
We're gonna really buy into this.
Venom? Oh,
Oh boy. But that's
he's a good actor. I just
yeah,
don't buy him as a villain.
yeah.
Supposed to play this like psychopath in it in Predators, and it's just like, oh, fuck off, man.
No, yeah, I didn't buy it when he was like I think he kills other people or he gets people killed. And I just remember
I don't.
watching it.
I rewatched all the Predator movies. Like I rewatched this for the for our recording. I rewatched the original a few weeks ago, but I rewatched all of them a few years ago when I bought the series on Blu-ray, and I can't even remember Predators again. I just remember saying, "Ugh, this is dog shit."
You're just you're just head
I saw it in
scratching.
theaters too, but like, yeah,
I
not
just
good.
remember
Not
audibly being, yeah, every time he was doing something and he's the bad guy, he's like that conniving type
good.
character, and you're just like, why? Right? Just like, I don't buy it. He is a good
Yeah,
actor, but it was just that movie and that.
we're talking about a Predator sequel, and we're talking about the human villain in it. We're not even talking about the goddamn Predator.
Yeah, yeah.
That just shows how bad that movie is. Like, come on.
They could have easily done that with Carl Weathers' character in the original, but
Exactly. But
they
they
weren't dumb
made him
enough to
too,
do it.
three-dimensional. Like, he's actually he's got ulterior motives, but at his heart when they start getting picked off, he's just like, holy shit, okay, I'm actually gonna help. And when he goes like, I'm going.
Yeah. He goes and like tries to help Mac, right? Bill Duke, which is like,
Exactly.
oh, that those death scenes. Like that.
They're so, oh my god, the death scenes in the original Predator, yeah, like
The blood, like Bill Duke, Mac's death.
I had to rewind that because I was just like, holy shit, I don't remember that being that brutal.
The blood splatter
Like
on
we're just
the lens.
on the camera.
Oh, and you see, like, I
Yeah.
don't know what they did for the original shot, but when they cut to it later, holy shit, dude! Like his head's still intact. His head was not intact when those lasers hit him in the head. His head just, like, whatever they used
It's
looked brutal.
obliterated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was like a really cool effect, and you're like, oh my god, that is, yeah, this is like horror movie. Like this is violent. And same with like getting your arm shot off, and then the way Carl Weathers goes
No
down.
pulling the trigger.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, this is a
Yeah.
crazy, crazy thing. And
Which is funny because like I know people that don't like horror movies that like this movie. And like my dad, like growing up, my dad, he hated horror movies. He would never watch a horror movie. And this one, it was just like, hey, you want to watch Predator? Yeah, sure.
it
And,
transcends
and
genres.
he doesn't really like science fiction either. So it's just that's cool, like this cool kind of mashup of the science fiction horror action movie where it's universal, where people that don't usually like that the certain genres like Predator, the original Predator.
Yeah, and then you could see why they might not like the other ones as well, where the other ones start to delve into, like, I know, hearing the director talk about this movie, he said, we're not going to go inside the alien ship. We're not going to show, we're just going to allude to what this thing does, right? Because throughout the movie, we start to realize that the Predator itself is collecting trophies, but it's never
Right.
explicitly said for what reason, other than through exposition and dialogue throughout the film, we get to figure out that, okay, it's hunting them for sport and also taking trophies along the way. So by the end of the movie, that's kind of helps it in that sense of, okay, there is a full narrative here. We don't have to explicitly show, here's the spaceship and here's the planet they came from. It's everything's kind of, to me, the first Predator movie, and I think it's what kind of makes it still hold up so well. It's kind of like Jaws in a sense, where they're not showing it too often, right?
That's true. Yeah, you're only seeing it through the first person, which is super. I love that sound effect
Yeah.
of like the seeing through its visor and seeing through its not sniper rifle, but through its radar thing.
Yeah, through all the different
Like the
visions.
sound effect changing to that, and then you're right. You only see it through the camouflage, which is actually really cool. Early special effects.
Yeah, yeah,
CGI, I guess. And yeah, you're right. Like you don't just like Jaws. I never thought of that. Just like Jaws, you don't see the actual predator. You are one ugly motherfucker.
and the showdown too. It's like the movie does
That's
kind of,
showdown.
yeah. It's it's also, again, like another funny thing I thought about it too is, like, you have all these guys shooting and just tearing down the forest with their machine guns and all this stuff, and they barely get anything. Like, they wound it, right? Barely.
Yeah.
But then throughout the movie, cue the montage. You ever see that one, the Predator the musical?
Yes.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
It's so good.
It's so good. I'm gonna rewatch that after this now. But after all that, and then you start to realize that it's not gonna hurt you if you're unarmed, type of thing, right? There's no sport in that. Kind of takes away all. It's just turning the action genre or tropes, I guess you could say, on their head, because all the, you know, advanced technology or all the weapons and all the training and all this stuff, the way these guys actually work as a team, it's going back to last week. It's kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street, where you don't want to see the characters die because they're not bad people, or they're not just so
No.
and so and so, and
And
so
that's that was the funny thing about, like, I knew most of these slash all of these characters die by the end, but I'd forgotten, like, it's been a few years now since I rewatched it, and I've seen it countless times, but I was just like, oh, when does this person? Oh yeah, that's right. That's when they, like, it just, it's shitty that you, like, after seeing it so many times, that it's just like, I really, like, I don't want this guy to die.
yeah, you're kind of rooting for everybody to make it out of there,
Yeah.
and by having them not be able to use their weapons and all this stuff, it kind of flips it on its head. It's like a by the end of it, it's that ultimate showdown with Arnold and the alien, and I think,
Bill Duke, I think, is the most heartbreaking. But, like, his character is so good.
yeah, he, he's a scene stealer for sure. Every time he's there,
It's like he's such a, like, tough guy in the movie, but then, like, when I forget Jesse Ventura's character's name,
Blaine,
Blaine, that's right, Blaine. When Blaine dies, and, like, he just takes it so seriously, and he just basically goes off the deep end, and then, yeah, to culminate, to end with him just getting his head blown off. It's just so fucked.
yeah, it's it's
Because he kind of foreshadows, like, the Arnold scene where he's trying to fight this thing quietly. He's trying to silently figure out how to beat this thing, and it gets the better of him.
yeah, not even a competition. Same with Billy, right? You have the guy who's like, "Come on, Billy, we know." He
A really good character too.
Yeah, he's looking off into the trees, and then whatever it is, it ain't human. We're all gonna die. Like, oh shit! Like, that scene is like, it's such a gut punch, because up until that point in the movie, you're like, oh, I'm sure these guys are gonna kick its ass.
Right.
I'm sure they're gonna just womp it, and then all of a sudden you have this guy who's got some preternatural connection to nature.
Well, that's the thing too. I rewatching it a few weeks ago. I was thinking, I love that the Billy character kind of, they came full circle with the newest sequel. I don't. Did you see Prey?
I have not seen it yet. No,
Oh, it's really good.
I should probably
It's
check it out
really
then.
good. Like, I would say, if I ranked the movies, I would say it's probably one of the best sequels, if not, like, tied with part two, but, like, next. Like, it's awesome. And it's all about Native Americans fighting a predator. Like, and, well, in general, just one girl. It like kind of goes back to the roots of the original film, where it's starts out with a big group of people that are, thrust into this thing, and then by the end it's just this girl that's, yeah, like, you should see it. It's really, really good.
That does sound interesting. I should check that out, because I think that's kind of what they're.
And the rewatching Predator, I was just like, the Billy character, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is kind of bringing it back, like, to, because it takes place in, I think, not Civil War, but it takes place during, like, the early American settlement. And yeah, it's really cool what they do, like, some of the things they do in it.
Yeah, the Predator, because especially what's set up in part two, like knowing that they had like guns from ancient times, or
Yes, and see, oh yeah,
with
that's right.
Danny Glover getting the old fucking pistol, right?
Right. Then the alien skull, which set up AVP.
Love that movie. Love that. Giant aliens fighting other giant aliens.
I just bought the DVD for $2 the other day.
Hey, $2. It's
And wait for
entertainment.
that watch. The disc is scratched to shit. So
You know what? As much as I will dunk on those movies all day. Um, I I
I
like
remember. I haven't seen it since I watched it in theaters. I
Yeah.
haven't seen the original AVP. I never saw Requiem.
It's a weird movie because it's shot so dark. It's like the whole movie was underexposed. I don't understand what it was.
I was working at the theater when it came out, and I remember seeing clips from it and being like, are there any daylight scenes in this movie?"
Yeah, it's brutal, and most of the movie takes place at night when it's raining, or it takes place in the sewers, or it takes place in the evening, or it takes place in like a spaceship. And I don't know what happened with that movie. Yeah, it's got some cool moments because the creatures are cool, right? Like I like both Alien and Predator, so I'm
Right.
kind of like, even if it is, cheese, I'll still eat that. But like, yeah, even with the first AVP, it's like I like Predator, and I like, I don't know, like the story. I think they've called it not canon now, right? But the concept of
Yeah.
it, just for like a popcorn hour and a half thing, was like, well, it's it's silly, but it's fun. It's
Yeah.
not gonna blow your
That's what
socks off.
like when I rewatched the Alien and Predator movies years ago, I didn't rewatch AVP because it wasn't included in copies of the collections that I bought. Yeah, Predator. So
Yeah, same with me. Like I just got the Predator Blu-ray set, and it's just Predator, Predator
it's like,
Two, the Predator.
all the posters, the mini posters.
Yes, I think that's the same one. Yeah,
That's it. It's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's a nice little collection. I like how they're not just all put onto one disc. I know sometimes they say, "Oh, it's Blu-ray," and they clearly don't remaster some of them, or there's not as much extras on some discs. But they did a good job with this one. I thought it was really good. There was some good extras on Predator. Yeah, and I think John McTiernan did a great job. Like I was trying to remember, like I had to look him up to see what other movies. Like he seemed to have a good connection, like Die Hard.
And for October, he was a big name director, but I like he lost it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened down the road. He just
Like I don't even really know what his charges were for. Like some, some weird charge where it's like he wiretapped the writer of one of like a movie and just yeah.
he just went down weird rabbit holes and got crazy over time. Who knows?
Did he direct Last Action Hero?
Yes, I was just about to say
That's
that. That's on.
probably part of his career downfall. Even though that movie is a cult classic, like that's a great movie.
Yes, that
But
movie
at the time,
unjustly should. Yeah,
so
that movie. Like you go back and watch it now, and that movie was like a huge influence on me as a kid too. Like the soundtrack, you had Buckethead doing the soundtrack. You got Megadeth, Angry Again. Jack Slater can't lose, never has, never will. Cues Megadeth. Um,
ACDC.
ACDC.
Was it ACDC in the ice cream, the
Yeah,
cone?
yeah. Big gun. You got a big gun. It's just like so stupid, but it was like in the moment, it's like,
Higher discussion just on Last Action Hero.
oh, I think that movie deserves that at least. It's yeah, it got crapped on at the box office, but um,
I didn't see it in theaters. We bought the. I remember we bought the VHS from Jumbo Video.
same. I had the VHS as well. I remember really
We had a
liking it.
shitty version. Speaking of physical media, like getting off topic again, we're not talking about Predator, but we had a shitty version cover of the VHS. I still remember the poster for Last Action Hero, the original poster of him swinging
Yes.
into the
Yep.
like out of the screen and everything. It was a great poster. The VHS that we owned, my family owned as a kid, was just like Arnold holding a gun up to his face
I
and
had
like
the same one. I had the same one. I don't
you
know
had the
what they
same
were
one,
thinking. It looked terrible.
right? It looked absolutely terrible. Whereas this, like, I have the Sega Genesis game, and that has the original poster, and it's amazing.
It's a really nice, like hand drawn,
Oh yeah,
beautiful
and
poster.
it's funny because the other day, again, we're getting off topic. I'm getting off topic, but the other day I went to my old house, and my mom said, "Oh, I've got a bunch of your old toys." Apparently, my mom's a foreign lady. She's not. But she said,
For her protection.
and she was like, "These might be worth something." And me and my brother looked at each other, and we were like, Mom, we got these toys for like you got these toys for us for cheap back in the day because they were Last Action Hero toys, so they probably aren't worth anything.
They're worth a nickel or something. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
My
But
buddy
anyway,
actually gave me a last action years ago. Again, it is off topic, but on point with what you said. I had my buddy gave me like a Jack Slater Last Action Hero, just the Arnold toy as like a gag
the
gift.
was it the red shirt one?
Yeah, the red shirt and the jeans and the brown
We
jacket he's wearing. Yeah.
what was his what's the actor's name from Monster Squad? Played Frankenstein. He played the Ripper in it.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. God, I
Yeah,
can't remember his
real
name then.
glad.
Take a look.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm taking a quick peek here. Oh, what was his name? I remember I've seen him in other things. Tom Noonan.
Tom Noonan, that's it.
Yeah, he was a good villain in that movie too.
He scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
He was in Manhunter, RoboCop 2, House of the Devil.
Lot of stuff.
Yeah. I guess we'll roundabout way get back to Predators. Uh, One other thing I wanted to say that was I thought was really cool about Predator 2, especially because I remember liking the original so much that I'd go and like look up, how there became comic books around, especially at that time too, and all the lore
Yep, for
about all
sure.
the predators and stuff like that. I thought that Kevin Peter Hall did a great job in this movie for a guy being in a suit that was obviously super restrictive in the way it moved. Like I think they said it was like a 200-pound suit. So the fact that he was able to move around and actually have some type of performance,
I was reading about him the other day too. Really sad what happened to him.
was it like a blood transfusion that he got
Yeah, he was in a serious car accident, and then he had a blood transfusion, and then he contracted AIDS. So
when he died from complications from that? That's messed up, man. He was young too. He's a big guy. What is he,
hmm
like 7 foot something?
7 foot something, yeah, and very imposing. Like I still remember, like just the shot of him with Arnold, where Arnold's camouflage towards the end, and you just see him like kind of jumping, skipping away, and it's just like, God, even that shot, it's like, damn.
Yeah. He's when they're standing there on the face off too, you just see how big he is. Like when he's doing his arms full just spread out. He's doing
Yeah,
like hey, I'm intimidating you now and I'm coming to fight you fisticuffs. And
right.
and Arnold just looks like and Arnold's obviously jacked up to the gills in this movie, Mr. Olympia, and he looks like a baby next to this thing. So
Come on.
shout out to him for sure. Um, yeah, and even the director said it was such a grueling thing that's why he's the pilot at the end of the movie. They gave him that shot.
Oh, no way.
He's just got like that 1 second shot, right? It's just like him, the guy with the sunglasses,
No way.
the black guy. He's cool. Kevin Peter Hall, man, R.I.P. Now there's few actors from this movie gone now, and
Yeah.
time goes on, but legends never die, right? This fantastic movie all around.
Just
Anything,
the poster too, like everything about this movie is just like classic 80s classic. It's just so good. I think this is one of Arnold's best because I like Commando, but Commando is kind of just you could put almost any actor into Commando and it would just be a generic 80s action movie, a good one at that, but
yeah, definitely.
with this movie it's just so different. Like it's great. I would put it in one of Arnold's best.
I would agree. I'd say it's right up there. To me, it's kind of like what we were talking about, kind of some of the redeeming qualities of better horror films or better, like, well, especially when we were talking about Nightmare the other week. Um,
hmm
this movie has more redeeming qualities to it for repeat viewings because it's not just the genre's normal expectation. It kind of plays with some of those things.
Yep.
Similar to what makes Last Action Hero so good. It's obviously no when I'm sure if you did a double feature, you'd see a lot of even some of the stuff that happens in Last Action Hero in this, right? Just kind of not to that same extent. Which,
No, but I know what you mean. Like,
well, not yeah.
mhm.
Last Action Hero, he's just kind of like taking a piss on the action genre, right? Or the action
Yeah.
superstar that's by that point Arnold is already solidified as and he's being self-deprecating in that movie, which is like he's not in this. And for an Arnold movie, like the one-liners and all those type of things are generally played pretty straight and not just like obviously get to the chopper, but
But
it's
that's almost like
and
it took a whole other life of its own.
yeah.
Where back in the day, like Get to the Chopper, kind of it was a well-known quote at the time, but it wasn't. I don't think they were trying to go for like a knock knock.
Yeah, like
Like
that.
they like seemed like that, where it's like, yeah, they're trying to do the classic Arnold line there, but I think it was just like Get to the Chopper was just his line delivery because Arnold's funny because I there was someone recently in the last few years that I knew that was rewatching, or sorry, they were watching his movies for the first time, and I grew up with Arnold, and then like they were reviewing them on Letterboxd, and they would just say how bad of an actor Arnold was. It was like, yeah, he's bad. Like he's not the greatest, but just he's got such a screen presence that maybe it's because I grew up with him that I don't think he's that bad of an actor. Like his line deliveries are pretty funny and sometimes, but Arnold is Arnold, right? So when like you call him a bad actor, it's just kind of like, I it's not like some other like Hulk Hogan is a bad actor. I watched No Holds Barred for the first time a few months ago, and Hulk Hogan cannot act for shit. And he doesn't have an accent. He's American.
Yeah,
He's an all American.
cute. Yeah, brother, he's coming out.
But for Arnold, like even in this movie, Arnold tried. Like he's a lot better actor than a lot of action stars, and I think he's better than Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think
Definitely better
certain
than
actors,
Seagal. That's,
he does show emotion, and then like that scream at the end of Predator, and the where he's just trying to show his dominance, and
yeah, I would agree.
yeah,
He's
like I just think Arnold's a great actor.
he's
And I
accomplished so
went from
much.
Arnold's not a very good actor to ending that statement with Arnold's a great actor. He is.
You talked yourself into it. I mean, it's the truth though. Like he is a larger than life personality, and
But I like
you
and
can't.
seeing that
Wow.
you mentioned Twins earlier too, and I Twins is a movie I need to rewatch because I owned the VHS when I was a kid, but I never really it wasn't on my rotation of Arnold movies. I've probably only seen it, I don't know, a few times, but
Yeah, it's a
he
good one.
proved that he could do comedy. He proved that he could do action. He proved that he like yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of my top five favorite actors of all time because he's got so many good movies.
Yeah, he somehow attaches himself or gets himself involved or has a hand in making or getting good movies or good roles for him, especially made.
Exactly. Yeah.
He somehow just has this aura about him where, like I said, like
Yeah.
Predator shouldn't have been as good as it is,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
it is.
And like a lot of Predator, like we were saying, like you were saying before, like the characters, the supporting cast is really good too. So yeah, it's not only Arnold, but
Yeah, without Carl Weathers, especially, like he's
exactly.
a person who is acting his ass off in those scenes, and you can see like just in his face when he's delivering the lines that he's probably making Arnold up his game too, right? Like you hear the stories about them on set, like guys trying to pretend they weren't working out that morning before they went into the jungle, but everybody's hiding their workouts, or like trying to get there. Like Jesse Ventura got got swindled. Did you hear this story where
No.
him and Arnold were like Arnold played an old trick on him, so in the costume or wardrobe or whatever, he got the person to leave a piece of paper out or whatever that said Arnold's arm size for his shirt is only X amount of inches, and Jesse Ventura's was more. So he was like he was baiting him into this, and then he said, "Well, why don't you come by the gym sometime and we can have a measure and I'll bet you a bottle of champagne. And Arnold had this all set up. Like, he was. So Jesse Ventura went, and then he beat him. Obviously, he's like, my arms are 3 inches bigger than his. Like, so he bought me a bottle of champagne, but he's like, oh, it's just something we used to do. As bodybuilders and wrestlers, you know, it's like, oh man, that's funny because he's like, he is charismatic and smart, like in real life. Obviously, he's accomplished
like,
a lot. So,
and like, there's a reason he was one of the highest paid actors
yeah,
at the time.
I mean, he's accomplished so much. God,
Absolutely. And like his recent movies, obviously he's older now, and like his recent movies haven't been that good. And I can't remember the last good Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
yeah,
But
can't really blame him. I mean, he's just enjoying his life now. I think.
yeah, he was governor, so
Well, he's done so much. Like, how many? I thought there was like a stand-up comedian who made that joke years ago. He's like, or maybe it was just a story I heard from somebody, but along the lines of how many lifetimes would it take to accomplish what Arnold did, and he's still around doing stuff. Like, he was a governor,
yeah.
Mr. Olympia, how many times? Biggest actor.
Would have been he was filming something in Toronto in the last few years, and I remember there was like a report that he was like just riding his bike around Toronto. How effed up and cool would that have been to just be like walking down the street and see Arnold Schwarzenegger freaking riding his bike?
It would be pretty cool.
Oh, hi.
He does that. Do you follow him? He's got like an Instagram or something. He's got a donkey. It's just him talking about his donkey. He's become like a crazy uncle now. He's like, oh, there's my donkey. Come here, donkey. It's just like, oh, whatever. I mean, he's allowed to do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna tell him otherwise. So, all right. Well,
But yeah.
Predator.
Great. Best films of the 80s, one of the best action sci-fi horror films of all time.
Yep, it's fantastic. Upon the rewatch, I was glued to the screen.
Oh god, we didn't touch upon the score.
Yes,
That opening theme during the credits, the opening credits. Oh my god.
yeah, the movie has a good solid soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
Really sets the pace, and then you also have like, again, they set that war kind of camaraderie up with like the long tall Sally in the chopper, or as the French call him, Petit Richard. It's a good soundtrack though. Like, yeah,
It is.
very simple, but it's like very gets you feeling what you should be feeling in this type of thing. Without the soundtrack, I don't think it would be even close to the movie it is. Michael Kamen. Oh yeah, Michael Kamen's done a lot of good stuff. I did not know it was him.
I don't know that name. What else has he done?
I think one of the more famous ones that he's done was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, okay, that's a very well-known.
Oh no, wait, no. Yo, he did that, but he didn't do the sound. He did the soundtrack for Last Action Hero.
Oh no.
Predator. Let me see. I'm creeping around on the internet now. Alan Silvestri. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. I was gonna say Michael Kamen's usually not that. Okay, Alan Silvestri still does like modern music, like he's done Captain America, Avengers, Endgame, Ready Player One.
I was gonna say, yeah, Back to the Future.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he also did the music for The Predator, so they brought him back. He did the music for Predator Hunting Grounds as well.
The video game. Oh, the multiplayer online game.
I was gonna say Michael Kamen doesn't sound right, even though I do like what he did for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, because that was like used for the Morgan Creek opener for years. It's epic sounding. That's way too epic sounding for Predator, though. Like, Predator's not like the good guys are gonna come out triumphant, kids. They're getting their heads and arms and skulls torn out of their sternum. Oh boy. Predator. Yeah. It's classic. Any closing thoughts? Any final Arnold zingers you want to send us off on? What was that? I just heard something and then it was gone.
Sorry, I had to.
Well, until next time then, sir.
All right,
Get to the chopper.
get to the chopper. I'm gonna run to the chopper.
Peace.